back this week with 90s Noise. I'm April, born 1991.
And I'm Ashley, born 1988. It's Christmas time.
Christmas! Holiday time!
Woo! My favorite holiday.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
So, what makes it your favorite?
I don't know. I've always just really been all about Christmas and the decorations and the lights. And especially getting older, it's more about just that good feeling of being in that Christmas spirit, and everyone just is a little bit more joyful, I guess. Happy holidays!
Happy holidays! So, we're talking Christmas this episode.
Woohoo! Christmas in Florida.
Yeah, Christmas in Florida. It's starting. Okay, for me, it's starting to get cold,
It's
which
starting to get cold.
everybody makes fun of me because my cold is below 70.
As any typical Floridian would say.
And I'm the one from the Midwest.
Right, exactly.
I always just say I did not move to Florida for this kind of weather.
Yes. Supposed to be sunny and warm all the time.
Yeah. Just for anybody who cares, today I literally was telling my coworkers if we were in Kansas, the clouds that we had today before it started just downpour would have been precursors to snow.
Ooh,
I'm glad it just rained and didn't
right.
snow.
Yeah. But it looked like it could have, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't ever want to deal with in Florida
Mm-mm.
because you all do not know how to drive. Do not know how to drive in
No.
weather like that.
Mm-mm.
So it would be one where I'd be calling it and saying, "Hey, I ain't coming to work today. I don't want to die on the road."
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't miss the weather. I could go for snow on the 24th of December to the 26th of December and then be done.
Yeah, I would like that.
But I'm perfectly fine without it. Honestly, I am. With that being
With
said,
that,
we're kind of celebrating the holidays here at 90s Noise, and to get into that holiday spirit, I know originally Ashley had what you said your list had gotten up to 22 Christmas movies.
hey, hey, I like Christmas, okay?
I don't know if I could even name 22 Christmas movies from when I was a kid.
Okay, so I kind of took the list a bit in the wrong direction. I thought like you were talking about, well, okay, I didn't watch all of those movies that were on my list as a kid. It was more of just movies that I knew I have seen now that came out back then. So I kind of
Uh,
like mixed it up of what happened.
okay. That makes a little bit more sense because I'm like, with the exception of like what is it, the ABC Families, now Freeform,
Yeah.
25 Days of Christmas, but they like
Mm,
recycled movies throughout that.
yeah.
I wouldn't have, no way. So, so we talked about it and decided we'd bring up maybe like our top five, but we each gave each other a movie to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we kind of lucked out. Both of us, the movie we gave each other, I don't think either of us had seen. Like, I hadn't ever seen
Yeah.
yours.
I
I
had
don't think you
never
have.
seen yours. Mm-mm.
Okay, yeah. Which is interesting. Which one do you want to start with first?
We can start with mine. Yeah.
Okay.
So the movie I picked was came out in 1989, and that is Prancer. For anyone who doesn't know the movie, it's basically about a girl who happens upon this reindeer, and she has sort of this dream, and it leads her to kind of believing that this reindeer is actually one of Santa's, and so she's trying to protect him and trying to find a way to get him back to Santa. That's basically the whole gist of the movie. So, but you had never seen it before.
I had never seen it before, and so while watching it, I think I might have missed that little part where she had the dream,
Mm-hmm.
and simply because watching it, maybe it's just because I watching as an adult, the whole thing kind of felt like a dream.
Felt like a dream, exactly.
Yeah, it kind of, I was waiting for it to be like revealed that she had been in an accident and was in a
Hmm.
coma or something. And then the big reveal at the end where, oh, she's alive. She's alive and well. And so I just was very, I don't know, maybe if I'd watched it as a child, it might have been more resonating with me.
Hmm. Right.
I think my favorite part of Christmas is like the reindeer, like the animals
Oh, yeah.
associated with it.
Yeah.
As far as we know, it wasn't a dream, a whole
Right?
dream.
It could have been.
It could have been. Besides that, I kind of felt like Cloris Leachman's character,
Oh, yeah.
it almost seemed like this was like a ghost of Christmas past type of situation. Mainly because she didn't really interact with anybody besides the main girl and then like one other child throughout the entire movie. Now, granted, she has a smaller part and everything, but even when she was around the rest of the town, she was kind of over by herself.
See, now I want to go back and rewatch the movie and see what you're seeing because that's a very interesting observation. That's really interesting that you noticed that.
Yeah, because like at one point, the little girl goes to apologize for destroying rose bushes or whatever.
Hmm.
I don't even remember what kind of flowers. She then helps her clean a room and
Hmm.
decorates the attic with all these Christmas lights. And she's saying, oh, you used to always get awards for the best Christmas lights. And
Mm.
why aren't you doing this now? And so that's why I kind of felt like it could potentially
Hmm.
be her because Jessie, the little girl, is so into Christmas.
Yeah.
And this might have been, this could have been like the Christmas that destroyed her love of Christmas. And then maybe
Oh my God.
like maybe when she got married, her husband was kind of brought it back, but now that she's a widow, she just has no love for Christmas. I don't know. I'm connecting dots where I'm reaching. I really
You're
am.
really reaching. Maybe this is a great idea for a sequel, but I don't think that's what's happening in this one.
That's just like I said that I was waiting for some kind of reveal like that.
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe because I was anticipating something of that is
Right.
why I wasn't able to enjoy it. And I mean, it was also geared more towards kids.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That whole fantasy world.
But I mean, the reindeer was really cute and everything.
Oh my
And
gosh, so
I,
cute.
even now, like watching it, was like, oh, that's such a cute
I know.
reindeer.
I know. Yeah, I would love to meet reindeer in real life. That would
Yeah.
be so cool.
Now, I did read that the ending, so spoiler alert,
Uh-oh.
at the end, you know how when they get Prancer back and release Prancer wherever they said that they were going to be meeting Santa,
Mm.
I was reading that originally, I think it was the director or somebody wanted it to be more specific on the ending. Like, did Prancer jump off the cliff and
Oh,
is no more? Or did
right.
Prancer was it truly Prancer and he flew off to Santa?
Yeah.
That's why it's kind of, don't hate me for my pun here, but that's kind of why it's a cliffhanger.
Ooh.
They wanted it to kind of be left up for interpretation, but somebody, I think, is, if I remember correct of what I was reading, was wanting it to be kind of a little darker and insinuate that he did fall off the cliff when he
Oh
ran and
gosh,
just
no.
fell,
I
which
never, ever, ever thought that in any sense whenever I was watching it as a kid or as now. Like, never did I go, oh, he definitely fell off that cliff. No, that's terrible.
I know. That's what I thought when I was reading that. I was like, why? This is a kids
It's a kids
movie.
movie. Yeah.
Like,
People
what?
are I can do a dark movie every now and then, but not when it involves cute reindeer.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually if they kill off an animal in
I'm
any
done with
way,
the movie.
me too. Me too.
Yeah.
legitimately,
Yeah.
I'm done.
I've said the same thing many a times. It's especially when it's unnecessarily killing
Yes.
something. It's not moving the plot along. It's not
Yeah.
necessary in any sense. And I'm like, no.
No. Honestly, I'd rather see them progress the animal and they
Mm-hmm.
like passive old age.
Yeah.
While that still tugs at my heart and
Right.
makes me cry, I can handle that as opposed to just
Mindlessly,
how,
yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Prancer. Sorry, digress. This was a movie you guys watched.
So I don't know if it's one that we watched like every year at all. I don't know how we really would have watched it besides maybe something that was on TV, or I mean, I guess we possibly would have rented it. I just know that it was one of my sister's favorite Christmas movies, I guess. So I just kind of watched it along with her. I just remember having those, memories of watching it with my sister. I watched it probably a handful of times as a kid, and then it was something that I kind of got back into later on. And as I got older, like it was a conversation that we had at Christmas one time, and I think my sister had mentioned this movie Prancer, and we just reconnected back with it. And so it's just something that I sort of share with my sister that we grew up watching and both had like a love of that Christmassy spirit in that movie, and of course the reindeer.
That's interesting because I don't know. My mom had seen it. I know that.
Okay.
We had talked about it a little bit and she was like, "Oh, it's not a bad movie. It's definitely a kids movie." I was like, "Yeah, it really was, but I don't ever recall having watched it growing up."
Right.
Which does surprise me since it's got a reindeer and like
Yeah.
the front of it is the reindeer.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and you also have to think like, how did Christmas movies really get promoted much? Because not very many Christmas movies ever go to theater.
Hmm.
So for the most part, they're just going to be something that would pop up on the video rental shelves. But if you're not one that really browses shelves and stuff, how often is it that you're going to stumble upon a new Christmas movie? So that's kind of the thing with, I feel like, unless you get lucky and it happens to air on TV at some point, or you are really looking for a Christmas movie, you probably could have missed most of these growing up through the 90s.
Very true. When you're a kid going to rent something at the video store, you don't unless it's Christmas time and your parents are like, "Oh, we're just doing Christmas." You don't necessarily go for the Christmas section.
Mm-hmm.
This was definitely a good family
Mm-hmm.
kid movie.
It
I
is.
I do have to give it props where it's due. Definitely some cheesy bits. I did love the part where she when the boys, the three little boys from her school come to see
Mm.
Prancer and she
Mm-hmm.
goes and she grabs whatever that tool was and starts like chasing them and it's like get. I did love that part.
Yeah, yeah. I could see you doing that.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Absolutely. That would be the tool I'd grab and be like, get the fuck
Right.
out of here. Don't ever come back.
We shall move on to your movie.
All right. My movie, well, it didn't come out anywhere near the 90s. It came out in 1954. White Christmas. Definitely what I would call a classic.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we would always check and see like the TV guide to see when it was going to be on, whether it would be the newspaper TV guide. Yes,
Mm.
kids, they would print out like the show schedules
I
in the
forgot about
newspaper,
those. Oh, yeah.
or we'd go to Walmart or Kmart and get the little TV guide, weekly TV
Oh,
guidebooks,
yeah. Those were the shit.
especially during the holidays, so we would know
Mm.
when certain movies were going to be on.
Yeah.
And this was before they had the TV Guide channel.
Mm.
We would do that, and White Christmas was always one we would make sure to watch. While it was a lot older than the 90s, it was one that I really truly remember growing up with as a child.
Why do you think that is?
Probably because I had a love of musicals
Mm.
and I really loved a lot of those older done musicals like Guys and Dolls, Singing in the Rain, Grease. I mean, like anything from like 70s or earlier, honestly.
Mm.
I just really liked those and just how the production was. Rewatching White Christmas, was it me or did the colors just seem super vibrant? Like
The
almost,
colors.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but maybe it's just we're so used to movies and shows nowadays that going back and looking at something, watching something that was shot in true film, because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
it's, I think, I'm not in the film industry, so I'm not necessarily sure, but I think they've kind of crossed over to more digital
Yeah.
now. Back then it was like 35 millimeter film.
Right.
I think that's part of it. And then of course the obvious title song, White Christmas. I mean, that song just
Is that your favorite Christmas song, you think?
honestly probably, even though I don't necessarily care for White Christmas myself
Right.
because I'm not a snow person. I truly there's something I get goosebumps when I hear that song.
Mm.
When Bing Crosby sings it. I get goosebumps with it. My question to you, Ashley, what did you think of White Christmas?
So it's definitely not my style of movie at
Mm-hmm.
all. So it was honestly it was hard to get into. I understand why I probably never watched it growing up. It's just not something that was ever watched, I guess, in my household. We didn't watch like really old stuff like that for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Yeah, sorry.
No,
I know.
you don't need to be sorry. Honestly, you really don't. We're opening each other's horizons and getting feedback, and I love this. I mean, because honestly, musicals were big in my family. Watching
Okay.
them.
Yeah.
That was one of the things. Little interesting fact though.
Mhm.
For those of you who don't know
Mhm.
and have never seen White Christmas, it takes place just after the war. I believe it's World War II. These two guys who had been in the war have like blown up as entertainers and they're like the top act. They go to watch a sister act that happens to be sisters of a fellow armyman. Obviously, like a little bit of a love story breaks out. They end up going to Vermont and thinking they're going to have a white Christmas. There's an entire
Mm.
song, Snow. They get there and happen to run in their old army general. He's looking like he's going to be losing his hotel, his bed and breakfast, whatever it's called, resort. And so they're on a mission to help save it. Love blossoms, all this kind of stuff. But Bing Crosby's love interest in this is George Clooney's aunt.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Good
And
old George Clooney.
yeah, I was reading that. I was like, whoa, holy shit. I saw her name. I was Clooney. Any relation to George Clooney? And sure enough. But I also love the dancing too.
Mm. Mhm.
Musicals now as opposed to then, like there was a lot of focus on the dancing back then, like the full four or
Oh
five
yeah.
numbers.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like I said, that was a big Christmas tradition for me was watching that. And as I got older, it was just my mom and I because my brothers weren't interested in really sitting around watching Christmas movies with the family.
Mhm.
My dad would watch it too with us, but I guess it was just something that my mom and I did, and I still watch it at least once a year around Christmas time.
Oh.
Get choked up,
Oh.
and
I love that.
to me, that's a feel-good movie.
Mhm.
It kind of almost makes me even more choked up watching it because right before I rewatched it, I read that when after White Christmas had come out, when Bing Crosby would go do the tours, he wouldn't ever put White Christmas in his set,
Mm.
like schedule in his set, but it was always, always, always requested. He couldn't say no just because of the situation and everything. And so he always ended up singing it, and
Mm.
everybody would just get super teary-eyed and stuff. So it was hard for him to do that, which I understand. That's
Yeah.
that is a tearjerker.
Do you know if there's any other Christmas musicals at all? Or is that like kind of one of its kind?
That's a really good question. I know that they have like taken some of the stories, done remakes where they've like made it into a musical. For some
Mm.
reason, I feel Christmas Carol, they've done something
I
like
think
that.
they, yeah, I think that one's a musical in some sense, but
Yeah.
it's not originally, it's not a musical.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know truly if there really
yeah.
isn't many others.
But yeah, I think that's kind of a cool concept that they have for that movie. I think that's what really sets it apart for Christmas movies for sure.
Yeah. I don't think there really is another
Mm.
original in that sense. Maybe that's why it still has a low place in my heart. There just
Yeah.
hasn't been anything to top it.
Hey, that makes sense.
So what other Christmas movies were part of your childhood?
One of the probably bigger movies from me growing up that I probably watched since it came out and probably almost every year since is The Santa Claus. That's
Okay.
like one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. I don't know, there's just something about the memories that it brings back to me and just that feel good moment of believing in something and that whole fantasy type world. Do you ever remember watching that movie as a kid?
I do. The first one.
Okay,
So
yeah.
the first
Is
one I remember as a kid, I remember watching it and thinking, "Oh, that's the guy from Home Improvement."
yeah.
Because I would always watch Home Improvement with my dad
Mhm.
because he
Yep.
enjoyed that. And so that was my first thought when I remember when watching that.
Yeah. I think that was probably my first thought too. Honestly, it's probably many people's first thoughts.
Yeah, it's probably been a good 10, 15 years since I've watched it all the way through, like in one
Okay.
sitting.
Yeah.
I'd see little bits here and there just when it'd come on
Mhm.
TV, but I'll be honest, there's only a few select Christmas movies that I'll truly sit and watch or go out of my way to watch, like find on a streaming service
Mm. Mhm.
anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess for me, I'm not a Grinch or anything like that. Like I'm not against the Christmas spirit or
yeah.
anything. It's just some of the newer age Christmas movies or even some of the older ones I have trouble grasping, I
Mm.
guess, if that makes any sense.
I feel like a lot of Christmas movies though nowadays just are very cookie cutter and kind of they all follow the same trend.
Mm.
There's not a whole lot of originality with Christmas movies anymore. I feel like I don't know after the early 2000s that it all kind of went downhill from there. I don't even think of any Christmas movies that came out probably in the last 20 years that are ones that I would consider any of my top favorites.
The only ones I could think of is the A Christmas Prince trilogy on
Oh,
Netflix.
the
That's honestly one of the only ones that I can think of in the last 10, 15 years
that came out.
that came out that I now granted, like you said, it is the plots are very just same each time, but I don't know, maybe because I like the people acting in it and everything, but
Right. It can make a difference
yeah,
when it's someone you enjoy watching. But
yeah.
no, I mean, I don't know. Just with the Santa Claus, I love Tim Allen and I always found him super humorous and I just thought that he always played such a great Santa. So it was just very believable for me as a kid and it just became something that I wanted to watch every year.
Now, here's my not so popular opinion for this podcast
Ooh,
episode, but
ooh.
I will say I do prefer Santa Claus over Home Alone.
Hey now, that was my next movie.
Sorry. Oh man, I'm gonna get shit for this,
I'm
but
gonna get shit for not liking White Christmas though, because that I know that's a true classic, and a lot of people love that. So people are gonna think I'm crazy for despising it, but
I don't
so we'll allow you to despise Home Alone, but that's it.
I just don't honestly, Ashley, I don't know what it is. Maybe it was when I first saw it, it was too much what was considered boy humor, and I do that in
Mm-hmm.
air quotes because back in the 90s and everything, there was a lot more of a separation of girl and boys as
Mm,
opposed to how now they try to do more gender neutral type things.
right.
I don't know, I guess for me personally, it just kind of annoyed me. Like,
Really?
yeah, I just really truly I tried watching with my family, and honestly after the first I did like one sit through the Home Alone and Home Alone 2
Mm-hmm.
of like watching it all the way through. After that, if anybody, especially now, if somebody's wanting to watch it, I'm usually on my phone. I can't. Home Alone is probably like the bottom of the barrel for me on
Now,
holiday movies.
do you have anything against Macaulay Culkin?
Personally, not really, because I mean, obviously don't know the guy.
Right.
I don't know, maybe I just thought he was kind of annoying as a child.
Mm.
I don't have anything against him, but I could not stand those movies.
So you're not gonna probably enjoy a movie that we're gonna
I
be
know
watching
I
down the
know
road
which
here a little
movie you're
bit.
talking about. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
You're like, oh,
Uh,
not him again. Shit.
I know which one you're talking about, and I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever actually seen that one in its
Okay.
entirety because I also know that that's a sad one.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not something, he's not an actor where, oh my gosh, he's in it, I'm not gonna watch it kind of
Mm.
thing. It was just those two movies, the two Home Alones. I just couldn't with it. I just couldn't. And I don't know, maybe because it was just also, if I remember correctly, he kind of was like almost commentating or something during like when things would happen. Or maybe I'm thinking of something completely different.
No, he does not.
This is how little I've watched that movie. Wasn't one of the guys, like the taller one, wasn't he in 101 Dalmatians?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really all I can really say on that is that I recognized him when he was in 101 Dalmatians, and I don't know. Also, I think a premise for me was just a little too unbelievable. Like I couldn't
Mm.
fathom that.
I could see it as happening though. I mean, especially coming out of the 80s and I mean, you have no I don't know. I did find it believable though. Especially with a
How?
family of like that many kids. I don't even know how anyone has more than two kids. So like let alone that many kids running around.
But how? Like,
I mean, you do look at it like how, but again, I don't know. I feel like it's very plausible that that could happen.
I think it could maybe happen. Like, you leave them at home, but then once you got to like the airport, you're handing out tickets and you go, oh shit, I have an
That
extra. Where's my
yeah.
last child?
Yeah, you would have thought that they would have caught them boarding the plane, but I think because they were running so last second that they just
Like, that's just where I'm, even as a child, my brain couldn't. And maybe because I was the youngest. Because isn't he supposed to be the youngest? Is he?
I don't think he's the youngest. I think there's
Okay.
someone younger than him. I think because his brother is in that movie, so he's younger than him.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah.
Well, but I mean, like, there was cousins in it too. It wasn't like it was just,
Right, there
right?
were
Because it was like two or
hmm
three adult couples with their kids
yeah.
and everything. And I thought that he was the youngest of his family. Like
Oh, of his
his,
family, yeah. Yeah.
and so I guess maybe in my mind, being the youngest, I'm like, my parents would never leave me. Like, they do roll call, or maybe that's just why I was,
Roll call.
yeah, roll call.
I mean, it couldn't work nowadays with all the technology. It wouldn't be able to happen. I mean, you couldn't get through security without realizing that you were missing somebody. So
Yeah.
it's just it wouldn't work today if they tried to remake that film.
Although nowadays, like, now people would try to make it work. I think that's kind of just where my issue with the movie is. My not so popular opinion, me, April, does not care to honestly ever rewatch Home
So
Alone or Home Alone 2.
don't invite her over with that
No.
on the schedule to be watched because she won't come.
I'll come if there's snacks and everything, but I may just like completely zone out. If you have an animal, I'll give the animal attention.
Yeah.
I'll keep them company.
I mean, that's how I feel about White Christmas. So
I,
there you go.
you
There you
know,
go, folks. That's what
you
you got
know,
here.
that is how it is. Now, I do have to ask you, did you ever watch, I'm taking it back again. Don't ask me what year this
Taking
was.
it back.
Don't ask me what year this was.
Oh no. So then I'm gonna probably say no.
I don't think so. I'd be a little surprised on this. It's actually two of them because I usually would do these together. Frosty the
Mm.
Snowman and Rudolph.
Oh yeah, the little animated. Okay,
Yes.
yes. Those guys, I did watch those guys.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, how could you not grow up through the 90s and probably even the 80s not having watched those as a child in school or just at home watching them at night with the family? Like those were classics.
Absolutely. I love those. And I still remember the same thing, like checking TV Guide to find out which
Oh
station and
gosh.
what time they were going to be playing. Because those and White Christmas were like
Mm,
in December we had to, it wasn't a December or a holiday if we didn't watch them at least once.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think they had one called Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Yes.
They had that one. I do remember seeing that one.
Yeah, so there's Santa Claus is coming to town, Frosty the Snowman, and Rudolph the Red-Nosed
Rudolph.
Reindeer. I
Hmm.
feel like there was one
I think
other.
the Little Drummer Boy was one of them.
Yes, yes.
I don't feel like that one I watched as much though. That one kind of got, I don't know, for some reason that was on
Yeah,
the back. It was like, only
yeah,
if I have to.
exactly. Oh, Frosty's on after it. Okay, fine, I'll watch it.
Right?
Yes, those were ones that absolute classics. What other movies did you like for Christmas growing up?
So another one of my movies that I consider a favorite was A Miracle on 34th Street,
Okay.
the 1994 version,
Okay. I was about to ask.
not the version
Old.
from the 40s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch the old version?
Remind me the premise of Miracle on 34th Street because I may be getting it mixed up with a different movie.
It's basically a girl who doesn't believe in Santa,
Uh-huh.
and there's a guy that they hire to play their Santa for the company, and he turns out to be like the real Santa and
Okay.
basically makes her believe again or whatever.
So I think I probably did growing up watch the original, or well, I don't know if it is the original, but the older
Mm,
version
mm,
as opposed to the 94 version
okay.
because the older version's black and white, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the one where part of it takes place at a shopping center?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely do vaguely remember that. I think it was all usually whatever station we would watch was White Christmas, Miracle on 34th Street.
Yeah.
Like so like in order
Those
or
always played back to back. Yeah.
yeah. Since it was a remake, we never really watched it because my mom preferred the
Originals.
originals on that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how we came about watching that movie or when we started, but obviously the girl is from Mrs. Doubtfire, so I'm sure
Oh,
us
okay.
seeing Mrs. Doubtfire the year before, we probably maybe saw that movie cover at the rental store and were like, "Oh, let's check this movie out." And it just ended up being one of my favorite movies. I considered the guy that plays Santa in that movie to be, in my opinion, probably one of the best played Santas
Okay.
as far as any Christmas movie I've seen. I still consider him to just, even watching it again now, it just, I don't know, it just brings me a lot of joy watching him play that character. He just
Hmm.
brings so much joy and life into what you would believe to be Santa, and just the whole cast in general just makes the movie super fun to watch. So I just never get sick of watching that movie.
Okay, so here's a question for you. Which Santa it would be your favorite? That Santa or Tim Allen's?
So definitely the Miracle on 34th Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He definitely is, in my eyes, the real Santa.
Okay. Embodies him a lot of the.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I may have to, in a couple days, watch that one. Because
Mm.
the girl from, when you say the girl from Mrs. Doubtfire, you're talking about the girl who played Matilda, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See,
Mara. Yeah.
that's how my brain first
Yeah.
recognizes her. So,
Well, yes, exactly. And I always think that that came out first, but Mrs. Doubtfire did. So it
oh,
always like
really?
throws me off. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
What other Christmas movies are on your list?
I've, well, I think it isn't, is the Muppets Christmas the one that's kind of like also a Christmas Carol? Isn't that, isn't
I
it?
I was gonna say something about that movie too, because that a Muppets Christmas Carol. Yeah.
Yes, that's what it is. Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, that was another one that I always remember watching.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Yep.
I like the Muppets and those kinds of things. The
Right.
Christmas Carol,
Mm-hmm.
their pirate one or whatever.
No, yeah. They did like a space one, didn't they?
Yeah, I didn't really care for
I,
that one as much.
I don't know. I could be making it up.
They did actually. They Muppets in
Okay.
Space.
Oh, is that recent though?
It was more. It was like 2000s, I think, in the 2000s
Yeah.
sometime.
Okay.
But yeah, Muppets Christmas Carol was definitely one that
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching. And when I think of a Christmas Carol, I think of a Muppets Christmas Carol.
That's exactly the same way. I don't think I've ever watched a Christmas Carol like at the true version, unless it's the Muppets one. Like I don't know.
It just hits differently when it's the Muppets. I mean, come
Mm-hmm.
on.
I agree. It's yes, I agree. Much more watchable.
Absolutely. But yeah, that one, you know how when you haven't seen something for so long and you can kind of remember vaguely bits and pieces
Bits. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and you're wondering, okay, am I combining two completely separate movies or was
Right.
this actually one? That's kind of how Muppets Christmas Carol is for me.
Yeah. That's how it was for me too. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to definitely find that one and rewatch it this year. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's cute. I like that one.
Yeah. I definitely enjoyed that one. Like we discussed in the baby boomers, baby tunes with the Miss Piggy
Mm.
curtains. That's one of the reasons I actually enjoyed watching Muppets Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, hey, part of my room's done in this. Like, I'm living
I
with
guess
this
I'll
for
watch.
most of my life, most of my childhood. Honestly, for me, I don't know. I guess in a sense, I've not been a big holiday movie watcher.
Mm.
It's usually just like, hey, if it's on, and I'll watch it. Throw it in the background. There's just those few, for me personally, that
Mm.
I enjoy watching on a yearly basis.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's not ones where I've got a long list of, okay, this on the first
Right.
day of Christmas, I have
Yeah,
to
no,
watch this
that's too
movie.
much. That's too much. Mm-mm. No. Yeah, I enjoy watching Christmas movies and putting them on, and a lot of them, you can almost just mindlessly watch in the background and,
Yeah,
just have something sort of cheerful on, and it's got a happy ending, and so it kind of keeps you in a good mood. And but yeah, I definitely don't have a long list of movies where it's necessary to watch each year. And the couple that I talked about here, like if I miss it and I don't watch it that year, whatever, like it's not something that I make a priority, but it is nice when I do get to watch them, and just sort of keeps the Christmas feelings going and keeps those memories from childhood still floating back there.
absolutely. I'm very much the same in that sense. The only one that I do try to watch yearly is A White Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But that is one, like you said, throw it on in the background, kind of
Yeah.
mind aimlessly be doing other things, cleaning,
Mm-hmm.
cooking, whatever. It, like you said, brings those childhood memories back, makes all gooey mushy inside.
Yeah.
And definitely something fun.
Yeah.
I do think Christmas movies now is very oversaturated.
Yeah. Yeah. I do too. I enjoy when they're kind of they keep you sort of kid-like. So I like that
Yeah.
sort of childish feeling to more of these classic ones that they have, and the ones nowadays it just some of them are so cringe and just it's like you're watching the same movie all the time from one to the next.
Yeah, like that person who made what is it, Alexa watch so many hours of Christmas movies and then write their own script or something, and it literally how they wrote it, it's the exact same every single time. I mean, like that's just how
Yeah, they're all
they seem to be. It is nice to go back to those childhood ones
mm-hmm.
that we watched as kids to get something different. And
Yeah.
now I know I spent some time hating on it and everything. Home Alone was a different concept,
Mm-hmm.
which was interesting, and I as an adult I can appreciate that it was a different idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's really interesting because wasn't that directed by Christopher Columbus?
I believe so. It sounds familiar.
Yeah, and he directed the first two Harry Potter movies. And I
Oh,
absolutely
really?
love
Huh.
those. Yeah, I just couldn't get into into that into Home Alone. But again, like I said, I can't appreciate its grasp on so many people, something different.
Right.
For me, that's just not one of the Christmas movies that does it.
So, I have you watched from my last movie, have you ever watched the Barney Christmas special that he did? The Barney, it's called Waiting for Santa.
I didn't even know that they did. Was this back in the 90s or was this like
Yeah, it came out in 1990.
okay, so maybe
I think it
that's
was
what
like one of its first specials or something.
okay, because I mean I did watch Barney growing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if it came out in 1990, unless they replayed it,
Mm-hmm.
which sometimes those they didn't, the like
Yeah.
TV specials, like a TV show special, they wouldn't necessarily do when it was the
I
live
mean,
versions.
yeah, it's on VHS though, so I don't know if it was a TV special or if it was
Okay.
just more of like a VHS thing.
Okay.
But I pulled it up on YouTube because when I saw it, I was like, that sounds familiar. Like, let me watch a little bit of it. And crazy enough, I remember a
Really?
lot of parts from that video, and it's mind blowing because I'm like, holy crap, they're about to go do this, and they do it, and it's just wild because I know I have not seen that movie since the early 90s. So it's one of those that I was like, wow, this is shocking to know that my brain is still functioning from the and can
Wow.
remember stuff like that. But it's super cute. I thought it was really cute
That's
because
insane.
I was obsessed with Barney too.
Oh
So
yeah. I had a like a little blankie that I and everything with Barney on it. Had a little Barney dinosaur toy.
oh my
I
gosh,
was too.
yes.
I was pretty
Oh,
obsessed. So if it was on like VHS and everything, we might have had it. Actually, you know what? I think we had that. I think I remember that was one of the Barney ones we might have had. Because I can remember like there was one like I remember the case was purple and it was the Barney sing along, and then we had another Barney VHS that was I think a little bit more seasonal looking, and so that probably was.
hmm.
God, I forgot we had even had that. Holy shit. I'll have to. You said it was on YouTube?
It's on YouTube, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's what 30 minutes? Oh, 40 minutes
No,
long
that's
or
not
something like
too
that.
bad.
It's like, yeah, it's not too long. Yeah, definitely watch it. Yeah, it's cute. Super cute. I was just like, ah.
I mean, honestly, that's one thing where going back and seeing that, and it's funny if you remember it so much that you're like, oh my gosh, this is what's about to happen.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
Oh. But yeah, so that's Christmas.
As
Christmas in the 90s, kids.
Yes. Christmas movies in the 90s.
Christmas movies in the 90s. A lot more shit happened, but we're not talking about all that
Yeah.
yet.
Not this year. That we gotta
Not
save some.
this year.
We gotta save some for next year and everything, because there was a lot of shit going down for during the
Hmm.
holidays in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
That's for damn sure. All right. So that's wrapping up our Christmas holiday episode. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Hit us up on Instagram.
Hit us up at 90s Noise. Let us know your favorite Christmas movie from the 90s or before the 90s. And happy holidays, everyone. Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays. We will be back next week.
Woohoo!